The first crack sounds like a gunshot. It ricochets through the glacier, clean and sharp, and you feel it in your knees before you hear it, a jolt running up through the ice into your bones. Your tripod shudders. The camera quivers on its mount. For a moment, the whole world seems to take a breath and hold it. Then the ice beneath the ridge shifts. You drop to one knee instinctively, gloved fingers digging into powder as your weight skids forward. The ground doesn't quite give way, but it moves, like something alive rolling in its sleep deep below you. You freeze. Wind claws across the open white, bitter and dry, dragging tiny crystals that sting the bare strip of skin between your goggles and scarf. The sky overhead is a flat, bruised gray, no sun, just a muted brightness pressing down on endless blue ice and jagged peaks like broken teeth. You listen. Nothing at first, just your own breath inside the balaclava, loud and damp, the faint ticking of your camera as it keeps shooting on interval, every few seconds capturing another frame of the glacier's slow, indifferent majesty. Then, faintly, a different sound. A series of pops like knuckles being cracked one after another. Somewhere below and to your left, the ridge. You lift your head. The snow ahead of you sags in a subtle line, a pale seam in the white. It's the kind of thing only someone who spent years out here would notice, that whisper of collapse. You've done enough stupid things on ice to know what comes after that line. You are very carefully, very slowly, about to stand up and move back when the ridge explodes. Not in fire, just in motion. The cornice gives way in a rolling sigh, the top layer slumping, then shearing off in a curtain of snow and shattered ice. It drops away in front of you, a white waterfall into a narrow blue throat of a crevasse, the sound a low, grinding growl that echoes between unseen walls. You jerk backward, boots scrambling, snow spraying, your tripod tips, legs catching on the edge. For a heartbeat, your camera hangs over empty blue air, lens staring straight down at the dark throat of the glacier. You grab it, gloves smack metal. The aluminum is shockingly cold even through insulation. Your shoulder protests as your weight jerks against the strap. You haul the tripod towards you, boots digging into the churned snow, heart pounding in a rhythm that doesn't feel entirely your own. The tripod lands on solid ice with a clatter, one leg bent but standing. You don't move for a long second. You've always known you'd die like this, if you died out here. Some quiet, unremarkable slip into a crack in the world. Body swallowed by ice, camera may be found decades later by someone else. Your name a line in a report no one reads twice. Today, it seems, is not that day. When your heartbeat finally slows to something that doesn't thump in your teeth, you let out a low, shaky breath. It bursts in a cloud of steam that is instantly torn sideways by the wind. "Okay," you murmur into your scarf, though no one can hear you. "Okay, you got me. I get it." The glacier says nothing, but the ice where the ridge broke is different now. The collapse has sheared off the top layer of compacted snow, exposing a vertical slice of glacier that glows from within, a pure, impossible blue. It looks like a window into another world. Crystalline veins spider through it, and deeper still, there are shapes, shadows caught in the frozen layers like insects in amber. You squint. At first, it's just patterns, air bubbles and chains, tiny stones and streaks of gray, threads of trapped snow from storms long forgotten. Then your eyes catch on something that isn't a bubble, isn't a stone. A rectangle. No, several rectangles. You step closer, moving carefully this time, staying well back of the new edge. The crevasse yawns just beyond, its sides dropping away into darkness. Ice screws on your boots bite into the surface with each measured step. The exposed face of the glacier looms beside you, towering higher than a house, close enough now that you can reach out and touch it, though you don't, not yet. Inside the ice, about chest height, you see it clearly. Paper. Stacked in a clumsy cluster, edges curled and feathered, the bundle is locked in a band of clearer ice, as if it were mid-fall when time grabbed it and squeezed. The topmost sheet is a faded yellow-white rectangle with dark shapes on it. Your first thought, absurdly, is that it's trash. Some scientific stations discarded notes that found their way into a melt channel and froze again. Here, next to this frozen window, the world is strangely still, sound dampened, air colder. Your breath fogs in front of you, and the white plume smears across the ice, leaving a faint temporary blur over the rectangle inside. Beneath the frost, the photo stares back. You adjust your goggles and lean in, close enough that your headlamp, dim in the gray day, casts a small circle of yellow on the surface. It penetrates just enough to color the rectangle, revealing more detail. A line of trees, dark, snow-laden. Someone standing in front of them, coat long, head turned toward the camera. And beside that person, a shape you'd recognize anywhere. A wolf. Its body is captured mid-step, one paw lifted, thick winter coat bristling. Its head is turned toward the photographer, eyes bright points, mouth slightly open in what might be a pant or a sound. You've photographed wolves for years. Waited hours in blinds with numb fingers and empty stomach just for a glimpse of one moving against the wind. You know the way their shoulders roll, the set of their ears, the peculiar intelligence in their gaze. This wolf, frozen inside the glacier, looks like it's about to step out of the photograph. You stare so long your eyes start to water from the cold. The rectangle below the first is angled differently, partly hidden. Another image. You can just make out a slope, a suggestion of bare rock, another figure in heavy clothing. The wolf again, smaller, further away, but there. Same thick coat, same lean, powerful frame. The wolf repeats. In every photo you can see fragments of, there it is, always near someone, always looking toward the lens, guiding. The word occurs to you unbidden, strange and quiet. You straighten slowly, the joints in your knees protesting. Ice groans somewhere deep in the glacier, a long, distant complaint. You should mark this location, report it. This is the kind of thing that gets written up in journals, earns grants, maybe resurrects a stalled career. But before the professional part of your brain can finish that thought, something else cuts in. The map. You pat your chest through layers of down and nylon until your fingers brush the plastic crease of the waterproof pouch. It sits over your heart, exactly where you placed it this morning before you left camp. You pull it out. Inside the pouch, the paper is stiff, edges worn soft by years of folding and unfolding. Once, the lines were sharp, black ink on crisp white, but time has browned it. Moisture has puckered corners. Someone took care of it once. Someone drew those lines by hand, traced the contour of this glacier when it had a different shape, in a different decade. You slide it out with numb fingers, holding it in the wind. The old map is a mess of hand-sketched ridges and blue pencil shading. A red X marks a spot that, when you first saw it back in the archive, meant nothing. A spot on this glacier. A spot you now stand frighteningly close to. You glance up at the photos in the ice, then down at the map, then up again. The line of drawn contour, the way the ridge curves, the hint of a crack indicated by a faint, hesitant scribble. Someone tried to capture this exact place long before satellites and GPS. At the bottom of the map, in a tidy, deliberate script, a name is written. You've looked at it so often in the last months that it has become almost abstract. Henrik L. Sorensen, the forgotten explorer, the man whose expedition reports were filed away and left to rot in drawers, the one whose last entry was a sketch of a wolf and a single line. If anyone follows, follow him. You have followed. The wolf from the sketch is here, in these lost photographs, staring at you from behind 50 years of ice. A gust of wind slams into you, whipping the map sideways. You clamp it against your chest, suddenly shaky again, but for a different reason. You know the dates on Sorensen's last report by heart, November 1965. This glacier has been moving, slowly grinding and flowing downhill for longer than you've been alive. Ice that fell as snow when your parents were kids is only now surfacing in melt channels and collapsed faces. But still, these photos are too perfectly placed, too precisely where the red X lies. The map is not a survey, it's a message. Your head pulses with a dull ache just behind your eyes as the pieces shift in your mind, failing to fit into anything that makes rational sense. You're not supposed to be here like this. When you left the city, you were done. Done chasing grants that never came. Done submitting portfolios that never even got rejections, just silence. Done with sponsors who liked your wolves, but not enough to pay for them. Your last show had 3 people at its opening. 2 were friends. 1 was lost. You were supposed to take a break. That's what you told everyone. A season away. 1 last assignment, self-funded and slightly desperate. A private pilgrimage to the place Sorensen vanished. A homage to a forgotten man and his wolf sketch. Something to photograph for yourself, not for approval. Then you found the map. Then the map led you here, and now the glacier is handing you back something Sorensen lost. A hissing sound pulls you out of your thoughts as a thin fracture snakes across the ice, climbing from the bundle of photos toward the surface, a jagged white vein. You take a step back, instinctively protecting the camera slung at your side. The crack reaches the outer skin. A small chunk of ice pops free and drops at your feet, shattering into glittering shards. Where it broke away, a narrow gap appears, no wider than 2 fingers, but enough to feel a thread of air seeping out, colder than the wind, carrying with it a smell that doesn't belong up here. Dry paper. The faint, ghostly tang of darkroom fluid. You swallow, the motion stiff and mechanical, and slip a gloved hand into your jacket pocket. Your fingers close around the insulated grip of your ice axe. You are not, by any reasonable measure, a cautious person, but you are not suicidal either. You've seen what happens when curiosity wins over respect for ice. Still, you edge closer, toes a safe distance from the drop, one hand tight on the axe, the other reaching out slowly toward the crack. The surface here is surprisingly smooth, like glass. Your glove squeaks against it. The cold seeps through, blunt and immediate. You press gently. The crack widens, spreading slender branches across the face. Powder falls in a whisper. Somewhere inside, ice settles with a low, resonant moan. A panel the size of a windowpane fractures along invisible seams and pitches forward as one piece. It doesn't shatter, it tips. For a suspended moment, the ice plate hangs, tilted, catching the dull sky and your own hunched reflection, a distorted figure in bulky gear with a camera strap like a diagonal slash across your chest. Then it slides out of the glacier's grip. You jump back as it slams onto the snow in front of you, breaking into 3 thick slabs. Steam rises from the exposed cavity, so cold it looks like breath in reverse. The bundle of photographs spills out. They land face down in the snow, edges biting into the powder. There are more than you thought, a thick sheaf tied together with what looks like the ghost of a rubber band, long since hardened and snapped. You stare. Then you kneel. Your knees crunch into the snow. The cold bites deeper here, radiating from the open wound in the glacier. Air from inside washes over your face, dry and bitter, tasting like time. You reach for the top photograph, pausing only once as a distant sound threads through the wind. A howl, far away, thin, almost too faint to trust. You freeze. Hand hovering above the paper, head tilted, it comes again. Not the yip of a fox, not the drawn-out, eerie song of the northern dogs tethered back at camp. This is deeper, a long, rising line of sound that lifts the hair along your neck. A wolf's voice. There are no wild wolves left this far out, not according to the biologists whose reports you've read on the flight up. Not for years. The howl fades, swallowed by distance, leaving only the wind. You don't realize you've been holding your breath until your chest aches. Air rushes back in, harsh and dry. You blink snowflakes from your lashes and look down again at the photographs at your knees. You pick up the top one, gloved fingers, clumsy but careful. The emulsion is cracked in tiny lines, but astonishingly intact. Whoever took these knew what they were doing. The composition is deliberate. The exposure, even through the frost, looks good. The image sharpens as you brush away clinging snow. A ridge, a figure standing near its edge, bundled in heavy gear, face turned away from the camera. The horizon stacked in layers of ice and sky, and beside the figure, almost exactly where you are kneeling now in the real world, stands the wolf. You trace its outline with your eyes. Broad chest, thick winter ruff, right ear with a small notch near the tip. You know that notch. You photographed a wolf with that exact tear in its ear 3 years ago in a valley hundreds of miles from here. You remember the moment vividly, the way it turned just then, a precise angle, eye catching the last low sun, notch clear against pale fur. You sold that image as a print. You know the curve of that ear like you know the trigger of your shutter. Your breath forgets its rhythm again. It can't be the same animal. 50 years is too long. Wolves don't live that long. They barely get half that in the wild. But the resemblance is uncanny. It's not just the ear. It's the way the head is tilted, the way the paws are set, the way the gaze seems to reach past the lens toward the person holding the camera. Toward you. Ridiculous thought, but it clings. You flip to the next photo. Different location, same wolf. Trees this time, not ridges. The animal stands beside a man crouched to adjust something in the snow. The man's face is turned toward the camera. You inhale sharply, the cold nipping your sinuses. You've seen this face before too, in grainy black and white portraits stapled to old reports, in a single blurry newspaper clipping one of the archivists dug up for you. Henrik L. Sorensen squints up from the paper, mid-laugh, his eyes crinkled against reflected snow glare, hand resting lightly on the wolf's neck. On the margin of the photo, in neat familiar script, someone has written the date, November 3, 1965, 3 days before his last entry. You turn to the third photograph with fingers that feel oddly distant from your body. This time, the wolf is closer to the camera, so close its muzzle nearly fills the frame. Frost on whiskers. Snow dusting its forehead, one eye catching the light. Behind its shoulder, blurred but unmistakable, is a human silhouette. Smaller, bundled in a coat that looks one size too big, hat pulled low. A child. Their mittened hand is buried in the wolf's fur. You stare at the tiny shape, at the way the wolf's body angles as if sheltering them. Your heart does something strange, a slow, heavy turn that doesn't feel entirely like shock. You don't have children. You never wanted them, not really. You chose cold places and long absences instead. the kind of life that doesn't leave much space for little hands in warm bedrooms and school runs. But there is something about the posture of that child that tugs at you with the annoying persistence of a half-remembered dream. The map flutters in the wind, still clutched in your other hand. For a moment, the edge of it overlays the photo, its red X crossing the blurred silhouette. You lower the map, and a faint scribble on the bottom margin of the third photograph catches your eye. Different handwriting this time, not Sorensen's neat, measured script. Messier, hesitant. You bring the photo closer to your goggles, breath fogging the surface for a moment. When the mist clears, you can read it. Your turn, if you find this. The words are in your language, not his, and below that, the faintest trace of a signature. You know the shape of those letters. You know them because you've seen them before. On the back of a family photo tucked in a box after your mother died. On the inside cover of a book she left you with a note you never quite understood. She had always told you that some stories skip a generation. Your grip tightens on the photograph until the old paper complains with a tiny crackle. The glacier groans around you, shifting its unimaginable weight. Somewhere far inside, 50 years of snow and stone and sorrow move a fraction of an inch. You are kneeling at the edge of a crevasse, holding proof that the map you followed was never meant for strangers, that the wolf in your most famous photograph has been guiding people long before you were ever born. Above you, the sky presses low and heavy. Behind you, unseen, on the ridge where you nearly fell, something moves. You feel it before you hear it, a presence, a small adjustment in the air, a weight in the silence. You turn slowly, the photograph still in your hand. There, standing exactly where the figure stood in the first frozen image, framed by broken ice and swirling snow, is a shape you spent your whole life chasing across horizons. A wolf. Its fur is thick and pale as frost, darker along the spine. Its right ear bears a notch near the tip. It watches you. It has been watching you for a very long time. The wolf does not move. It stands exactly where the broken ridge meets the sky, framed by drifting snow that halos its fur in pale light. For a moment, the world shrinks to a single line connecting you and the animal, an invisible thread stretched tight across wind, distance, and 50 frozen years. Your heartbeat, still ragged from the near fall, shifts into something slower, heavier, as if your body is trying to decide whether this is fear or recognition. You rise from your knees. Slowly, deliberately, the photo in your hand flutters in the wind, the image trembling but still visible, the same incline, the same ice, the same wolf. Your breath fobs upward in a trembling plume. Easy, you whisper, though you aren't sure if you're talking to the wolf or to yourself. It tilts its head, a simple gesture, but it hits you with the quiet weight of memory. Your own photograph, taken 3 years ago, same angle, same expression. You'd waited 8 hours in sub-zero wind for that moment, fingers numb, hoping the wolf would look back at you just once. And when it did, the world had fallen silent, just like now. The wind slackens as if the air itself is listening. The wolf lifts one paw, snow shifts beneath it. Muscles coil subtly under thick fur. You brace, expecting it to retreat or dash away into the white. Instead, it steps forward. One deliberate stride, then another. Straight toward you. Your fingers tighten around the ice axe, not in fear, though fear whispers at your edges, but in instinct. Wolves don't behave this way, not out here, not anywhere. They don't approach humans, not unless habituated, starving, or following some instinct you don't understand. Your camera presses cold and familiar against your hip. It would be easy, so easy to lift it, frame the silhouette, capture history in a single shot. A living wolf approaching the site of 50-year-old frozen photographs. A shot that could change everything. A shot that could resurrect your stubborn, limping career. But your hand doesn't move toward the lens. It stays frozen at your side. Because something tells you, quietly, insistently, that if you pick up the camera now, the moment will end. The wolf will leave, or worse, the meaning, whatever thin thread the glacier is unraveling for you, will be cut. So you wait, still, breath barely moving. The wolf stops 10 paces away. Close enough now that you can see individual strands of fur shifting in the wind, pale guard hairs trembling like spun glass. Its chest rises and falls in slow, steady breaths. Snowflakes melt on its muzzle, and its eyes, not yellow, not amber, gray, a deep winter storm gray that feels impossibly familiar, though you cannot place why. The wolf lowers its head, nostrils flaring, scenting the air. You feel exposed under its gaze, as if it is reading pieces of you you've never shown anyone else. Then it does something that freezes your breath mid-inhale. It looks down, right at the photograph in your hand, not the glacier, not you, the photo. Then its gaze lifts again, meets yours, and holds. A message or a demand. Before you can process the implication, a distant rumble shudders through the ice beneath your boots, low, heavy, like thunder swallowed by the earth. The wolf's ears twitch, body turning slightly toward the sound. You look too. To the west, the sky is bruising a deeper shade of gray. A storm is forming fast, the kind that rolls across the ice shelf like a wall, swallowing visibility in seconds. You've been caught in storms before. You know what they do to your equipment, your sense of direction, your chances of getting back alive. The wolf steps backward once. Its posture tightens, not fearful but urgent. Your breath hitches. You want me to follow, you murmur. The wolf blinks slowly, another rumble. The sky darkens, the edge of the storm curling downward like a fist. This is the moment where any rational person would turn back, head for camp, radio in, document the photos, mark the coordinates. Do things the safe, sensible way. But the map in your pocket presses against your chest like a heartbeat. Sorensen's handwriting echoes in your mind. If anyone follows, follow him. And the faint, messy scrawl on the photograph. Your turn. If you find this, you swallow, throat dry. 50 years of ice didn't give these photographs back by accident. The glacier didn't crack open at random on the exact ridge you nearly died on. A wolf with an ear notch identical to one you photographed decades later doesn't simply appear in the same spot an explorer vanished. The storm growls again, closer, angrier. The wolf turns, not away. But toward the east, where the glacier rises in layered shelves like frozen stairways leading deeper into its heart, it pauses, looks back at you, waits. You feel the moment settle around you, heavy as snowfall, the kind of moment that divides a life cleanly in two, the person you were before and the one you will become after. All right, you breathe, chest tight with something that isn't quite fear and isn't quite awe. I'm coming. You grab your pack, secure the tripod to its straps, tuck the photographs inside your jacket where your body heat can keep them from cracking. Then you step forward. The wolf watches. Another step, boots crunching deep. The air thickening with storm, charged static. Something in the wolf's posture shifts approval maybe, and it moves ahead, gliding across the snow with that uncanny, silent grace only wild animals have. It sets the pace. You follow. The storm rolls behind you like a living thing. The wolf leads you along a narrow ridge that curves in a crescent, hugging the glacier's highest edge. The wind picks up, flinging ice crystals that sting the exposed strip of your nose, and you bow your head, pushing through. Your goggles fog, then clear. Fog, then clear. The wolf remains a steady silhouette ahead, tail brushing low, ears forward, each footfall deliberate. Every few steps it glances over its shoulder to ensure you're still there. Twice, it pauses at places where the snow hides thin crusts over deep crevasses. It waits until you catch up, then veers to safer path. Guiding, always guiding. The storm starts swallowing the world behind you, a white wall grinding across the ice with relentless hunger. The sky darkens until there's no horizon, just gray bleeding into white bleeding into nothing. You press harder, breath burning cold in your lungs. The wolf accelerates, you push to match. The ridge narrows. Wind howls with the pitch of something wounded. Ice grains whip sideways hard enough to rasp your coat. Visibility drops. 10 meters, 5, then 2. You nearly lose the wolf in the blur, but a flash of its gray coat flickers ahead. You track it like instinct, like memory written into bone. Don't lose me, you mutter through gritted teeth. As if hearing you, the wolf lets out a low, deep sound, a rumbling note, not quite a growl, not quite a call, a reassurance, or a warning. Then, abruptly, it stops. The storm screams around you, trying to push you sideways, but the wolf stands firm, unmoving, as solid as the glacier itself. And when you reach it, lungs heaving, legs shaking, you see why it halted. Ahead of you is a drop, a cliff carved by centuries of shifting ice, not a sheer fall, no, but a steep, treacherous slope disappearing into swirling white. Your stomach flips, we can't go down that. The wolf looks at you with eyes like ancient winter. It steps closer to the edge, and then it disappears, not falls, not slips, simply vanishes into white. Your heart stutters. You stagger forward, dropping to your knees at the edge, squinting through the storm. After several seconds, a shape materializes far below, small, sure-footed, weaving between boulders of blue ice as if it has walked this route 1,000 times. The wolf looks up at you and waits. Your breath escapes in one long, shaking exhale. "This is insane," you say, voice trembling with cold and something else entirely. This is not what I came here for. But you know that isn't true. You came here because part of you always believed there was something left to find, something unfinished in your family's story, something you never had words for. And now the glacier is answering. A gust slams into you, nearly knocking you sideways. Snow blinds your goggles. The storm has found you. There is no going back now. It's forward or be buried. You plant your ice axe, kick your boots into the slope, and begin the descent. The wolf watches. And when you slip, and you will, it waits. The slope tilts beneath you like the back of some enormous sleeping creature, curving downward, unpredictable, hidden beneath a gauze of blowing snow. Every step you take feels like an argument with gravity. Your crampons bite, slip, catch again. The glacier growls under your boots, low and irregular as if annoyed at your intrusion. You plant your ice axe, lean your weight into it, and begin the slow slide walk down. Somewhere below, the wolf waits. The storm doesn't wait. It slams into your left side, driving needles of ice against your coat so hard they rattle. The wind claws at your backpack, tugging at straps, threatening to rip it free. You curl low, body angled into the gusts, breath tight and ragged inside your mask. Keep moving, you mutter to yourself, though the words are swallowed the moment they leave your lips. Every few steps, the snow clears just enough for you to glimpse movement, a pale shape slipping between blocks of blue ice farther down. The wolf, always just ahead, always just far enough to force you forward, always watching the moment the wind thins. Guiding, you push on. Minutes blur into a shapeless rhythm of step, plant slide. The slope grows steeper. Your legs burn with the effort of controlling each descent. The cold has teeth now, biting at the seams of your gloves, creeping under the band of your goggles, finding the edges of your will and prying. Your lungs ache with each inhale of razor-cold air. Then, your left foot skids. Suddenly, violently, the ice sheet beneath that boot shears away in a thin layer, hidden beneath dusted snow. You lurch sideways, weight thrown off balance. The world tilts sharply. Your right knee buckles. Gravity yanks from behind your ribs. You fall, sliding, ice scraping beneath your gloves, the slope pulling you faster. Your pack slams into your spine. The sky spins. The ground becomes a streak of white and shadow rushing upward. Your axe slips from your grip, bouncing once, twice, then clattering out of reach. You try to dig your boots in, but the snow there is loose powder over a slick underlayer, and your legs carve through it uselessly. The glacier opens below you, a blurred, hungry blue mouth. Your heart claws up your throat. Then something dark and fast crosses your path, the wolf. It darts across the slope, planting its paws in a perfect practice line. Snow fans upward from its movement. In one clean motion, it turns its entire body sideways in your path, not attacking, not bracing to strike, simply placing itself where your momentum will meet it. No, the shout tears out of you, panicked and hoarse. But it's too late. Your sliding body collides with the wolf's flank. The impact is muffled by thick winter fur. The animal absorbs the blow like a trained rescue dog, twisting with your momentum, redirecting it. You spin, bouncing off the curve of its body, and crash into a mound of firmer snow instead of a drop. Pain blossoms across your shoulder. Your hip throbs. The breath is knocked from you. But you stop. You stop. The storm screams above you, but the wolf stands steady, chest heaving, frost clinging to its muzzle. You stare at each other. It should run. After a collision like that, any wild animal would bolt. It doesn't. It simply waits until your fingers scrape the ice axe you thought you'd lost, buried halfway into a drift. Then it turns and continues downward as if nothing happened. You swallow hard, throat stinging, and push yourself upright. "Thank you," you whisper, though the wind steals it. You don't know if it hears. The slope finally shallows, opening into a long, narrow valley carved by centuries of glacial flow. Walls of ice rise on either side of you like cathedral pillars, glowing faintly from within with trapped ancient light. The storm overhead becomes a distant roar, muffled by the gorge. Down here, the world feels insulated, heavier, more intimate. The wolf waits in the valley's center, seated on its haunches beside a low ridge of pressure, molded ice. Its breath plumes in slow, steady clouds. The notch in its right ear is stark against its pale fur. The moment you step into the valley, something shifts in your body, a sensation like stepping into a memory you didn't know you had. A scent hits you first, cold, clean, but beneath it, faint and drifting, something warmer. Diesel, you blink, the smell is gone. A trick of the wind, you tell yourself. But the air feels wrong now, weighted with fragments of something half-remembered. The wolf stands and walks toward the right-hand wall of the glacial corridor. When you follow, boots crunching in a steady rhythm, you see what caught its attention. A small hollow in the ice, natural or carved, you can't tell. The edges are rounded, smoothed by meltwater or time. The interior glows faintly blue, like a lantern lit under a thick blanket. The wolf steps aside, giving you a clear view. Inside the hollow is something black and metallic. Your heart kicks once hard. You crouch, brushing snow away from the entrance with gloved fingers. The metal comes into full view. A camera, an old one, 1960s era, boxy, heavy, a model you haven't seen except in museums and dusty archives. The outer leather casing is cracked and stiff, the strap frozen in a half twist. Ice crystals cling to the lens ring, but the glass is intact, and scratched into the side plate, faded but legible, HL. Sorensen, your stomach drops. The wolf watches your face as if gauging the impact. Carefully, so carefully, you reach inside the hollow. Your glove brushes the metal. It's cold enough to burn even through the insulation. You grip it anyway, fingers wrapping around the familiar shape, and pull it free. The weight of it is startling, solid, real. Sorensen's camera, lost for half a century, frozen into the glacier like an artifact preserved for someone specific. Your fingers tremble, but not from cold. The back plate is sealed by ice, but the small viewfinder window is exposed. You lift the camera to eye level, peering through. For a heartbeat, you expect darkness. Instead, a flicker. A faint impression on the inside of the glass. A silhouette, not Sorensen's, a child's. Your lungs seize, breath locking painfully in your chest. The flashback hits without warning, not like a memory you recall, like a memory that ambushes you. You're small, your hands don't fit the gloves you're wearing. They slip and twist on your fingers as you clutch the edge of a wooden table. You hear laughter, warm, full-bodied, echoing off concrete walls. The faint smell of fuel, the hum of a generator. Someone kneels beside you, a man. His beard is thick with frost. His eyes are the same storm gray as the wolf's. He points at something, a map spread across the table. Look, he says, this ridge, this one is safe. Follow it if you're ever lost. You look up at him, not understanding, but trusting. He ruffles your hat, laughs again, turns to the wolf lying near the stove, its tail thumping once against the floor. You two, he murmurs. You'll understand each other one day. Snow rattles against the metal roof. The generator hums. Then everything blurs. You stumble backward. The vision dissolves so fast it feels like your brain is being yanked out of a dream. The valley snaps back into focus, blue walls, drifting snow. The wolf standing close enough that you feel heat radiating off its coat. Your knees weaken. You brace a hand against the ice wall, breath sawing in and out of your lungs. What? The word cracks in your throat. What was that? The wolf steps closer. Its eyes hold yours with an intensity that borders on painful. You feel the same sensation as before, that strange gravitational pull, the sense of recognition without knowing why. You look down at the camera in your hands, Sorensen's camera, your mother's signature on the photograph, a child in the images, a child in your memory. The air thins around you. No, not memory, something else. Imprint, echo, inherited something. Your pulse hammers, the wolf turns and pads deeper into the valley. You hesitate, but only for a heartbeat, then you follow. Because even if the glacier is peeling back time itself, even if your past is not the past you believed, even if this wolf has walked through 2 generations to lead you here, you need answers. And this valley is only the threshold. The valley narrows as you follow the wolf, the walls of ice leaning inward like ribs protecting something vital. A pale light shimmers through the frozen blue, soft and pulsing, as if the glacier itself is breathing. Your boots crunch in a steady rhythm, each step sinking slightly into powder. The cold here is different, less biting, more ancient. It settles on your skin like the memory of winter rather than winter itself. The wolf moves ahead in a smooth, unbroken line. No hesitation, no confusion. It knows exactly where it's going. And it assumes you'll follow. You do, because at this point you couldn't turn back even if you tried. The camera hangs heavy from your hand, cold enough that your gloves stiffen around it. Every few steps you glance down at the carved name, H.L. Sorensen, half expecting it to fade like a hallucination, but it remains, hard, real, impossible. The echo of the flashback lingers beneath your breathing, that man's voice, the map, the wolf's easy familiarity with you. It clings to the edges of your awareness like frost refusing to melt. You try, just once, to force another memory. The effort leaves your temples throbbing. Whatever you saw wasn't a dream you pulled up. It was a memory that ambushed you, or something pretending to be one. The wolf glances over its shoulder. A low sound vibrates from its chest, 2 soft pulses of breath, not quite a bark, not quite a growl. Something between acknowledgement and urgency. You pick up your pace. The valley curves left, then right, then dips gently downward until you feel the angle beneath your knees. A faint drip-drip echoes between the walls, water melting somewhere unseen. Then the corridor opens. A cavern yawns before you, broad, high-vaulted, glowing with the eerie, cerulean light of trapped centuries. The ceiling arcs like the nave of a cathedral, its translucent ribs bending in sweeping lines. The floor is uneven, ridged with frozen waves where meltwater once ran and froze again. Your breath stops. This place feels intentional. Not carved, but revealed. The wolf stops at the threshold and sits, shoulders squared, gaze locked ahead. Its breath plumes steadily, evenly, as though this place is neither new nor frightening to it. You step forward. The crunch of your boots echoes in the cavern, swallowed quickly by the cold air. The silence here is thick, almost liquid. Every sound you make feels intrusive. Then you see it, a black shape embedded in the far wall, rectangular, weather-worn, half entombed in ice, clear enough that the details blur into shadow. You approach slowly, heart pounding in a deep, deliberate rhythm. The wolf follows behind you now, not leading, not pushing, simply present. As you draw closer, the shape resolves into a door. No, a hatch, metal, riveted, like the entrance to an old expedition shelter built directly into the glacier decades ago and swallowed over time. Your breath slips out in a shaky cloud. Sorensen's expedition logs never mentioned building anything of this scale. The archival notes spoke of a tent camp, basic, temporary, nothing like this. You lift your glove and brush snow away from the hatch. Under the frost, stenciled letters appear. N9 Field, Station Glaciological Observatory, 1963, your pulse spikes. N9 wasn't on any maps, not in any reports, not in the handwritten notes you'd spent weeks decoding. You swallow hard and scrape more frost from the surface. Below the station name is a line of smaller text, authorized entry, H. Earl Sorensen and family. Your lungs lock. Completely. The word sits there like a strike to the sternum. Family. You read it again, and again, and again. Your glove trembles against the steel as if the letters might rearrange themselves into something less impossible. Sorensen, family. But the only references you've ever seen list Sorensen as alone on his final expedition. No spouse, no children, no mention of traveling companions. And yet the photograph you found, the child with the wolf, your mother's signature, the glacier shifts overhead with a low groan, like stone turning in its sleep. You stagger back a step, dizzy. The wolf stands beside you now, close enough that its shoulder brushes your thigh. It doesn't look at the hatch. Its eyes are on you. You feel its gaze like a weighted hand on your chest, steady, grounding, expectant. I don't, your voice fractures. I don't understand. The wolf's head tilts slightly, the same gesture it gave you on the ridge. Patient, knowing, you turn back to the hatch, fingers finding the heavy metal wheel that locks it. It's frozen stiff, calcified by decades of pressure and cold. You brace both hands around it. The metal burns through your gloves. You grit your teeth and turn. At first nothing moves, then a faint crack, a groan, a ripple of vibration through the ice. The wheel gives a fraction of an inch. You set your jaw and pull harder, muscles straining, shoulders screaming from the earlier fall. The wheel turns another inch. A tremor runs through the surrounding wall. A shower of fine frost rains down. The wolf steps back, ears twitching. You twist again, harder, until something heavy shifts inside the hatch. A snapping sound rings out, echoing like a gunshot. The wheel spins freely. Cold air bursts from the seam around the hatch as pressure equalizes. Air older than you, older than the year Sorensen vanished. You grip the side handle. Pull. The hatch resists. Then, slowly, it creaks inward. Darkness billows out. A cold, deeper than the glacier's natural chill, pours into the cavern, brushing your face like the exhale of something that has waited too long in silence. You lift your headlamp. Its beam cuts a narrow path into the gloom. A corridor stretches beyond, metal-walled, narrow, lined with frost-furred pipes and collapsed wires. You hesitate. The wolf slips past you, steps onto the threshold, and stands inside the entrance. It looks back. Its eyes say everything its body does not. This is why you're here. This is what the glacier returned. This is where the truth begins. Your fingers tighten on the camera hanging at your chest. A station no one knew existed. A child in old photographs. Your mother's handwriting on a 50-year-old image. A wolf who appears in every generation. And somewhere inside this buried place, answers you have been unknowingly chasing your whole life. You inhale, breath shaking. Then you step inside. The hatch swings shut behind you with a hollow, cavernous clang that reverberates down the corridor. The sound is final, absolute, a door closing on the life you knew, a door opening into the life waiting for you. The beam of your lamp wavers over the frost-coated walls as you walk deeper, guided by the soft, steady sound of the wolf's paws against frozen metal. Then your lamp falls on something ahead, a pair of boots, small, child-sized, standing neatly beside a wall locker. Your breath stops. A tag hangs from one of the laces, frozen in place. You reach out and scrape away frost with the edge of your glove. Underneath the ice, in faded ink, property of El Sorensen age, 5-year vision blurs. The corridor tilts. Your heart slams once, twice, like it's trying to break free. You clutch the locker for balance as the first solid truth clicks into place like a key turning in a lock. Sorensen didn't come here alone. And the child in those photographs wasn't some unknown survivor. They were his, and somehow connected to you. Your lamp trembles in your hand. The wolf sits beside the boots, gaze steady, unwavering. It knows. It has always known. And now you are finally beginning to understand why it led you here. The boots stand where no child should ever have stood alone, perfectly placed beside a frost-rimmed locker, toes pointing forward, laces stiff with 50 years of cold. You stare at them until the hallway seems to bend around your vision, dark flowing into darker. Age 5, L. Sorensen. Your throat tightens in a slow, clenching spiral, as if something inside you refuses to let the truth settle. 5 years old. A child survived here long enough to hang their boots neatly. A child whose initial is the same as no. You shut the thought down before it forms. Your breath puffs in ragged clouds. The air inside this frozen station somehow colder than the glacier outside. It tastes metallic, old, stale, like every memory trapped in these walls has been exhaling a new direction. The wolf stands beside the boots, its gaze unwavering, as if guarding them or presenting them. You crouch slowly, fingers brushing the ice-cold leather. The boots aren't caked in snow, they aren't torn, they don't look abandoned, they look placed. A deliberate act, as though someone knew another set of eyes would eventually find them. Your pulse hammers in your jaw. The wolf lowers its head and sniffs the boots, then looks toward the interior of the corridor. A soft sound escapes its throat, almost a whine, almost a summons. You stand, legs unsteady, and lift your lamp. The beam casts long shadows across the frost-feathered ceiling. The corridor stretches ahead. You tighten the grip on Sorensen's camera, breath steaming in white bursts. Okay, you whisper, show me. The hallway narrows as you continue, ice clinging to every metal surface. The wolf pads ahead silently, paws leaving faint impressions in dusted snow. Pipes run along the walls, cracked, ruptured, frozen mid-leak in jagged sculptures of ice. Every few meters, your lamp glints off something embedded in frost. A clipboard fused to the wall, a cracked thermos, a pair of gloves lying palm up as if someone dropped them while running, all frozen exactly where they fell. Time stopped here. But not gently, not kindly. Your boot nudges something half buried in a drift. You reach down and lift it, a child's mitten, tiny, red, the wool stiff with frost. A matching mitten lies a few paces ahead near the remnants of a doorway. You pick it up too, your hands trembling. The wolf watches you, then turns sharply and disappears through the doorway. Your pulse leaps. Wait, you hurry after it. The room beyond is small, square. The walls are lined with bunk frames, 2 on the left, 2 on the right. Frost coats the blankets like lace. A metal lantern hangs crookedly from a hook. Your light catches something on the far bunk, a notebook, thin, blue cover. Edges curled from moisture, your breath stutters. You cross the room, each step careful, deliberate. The wolf remains by the doorway, tail low, attentive. You lift the notebook. The cover cracks faintly, paper brittle with age. Inside, the first few pages are blank, stuck together with frost, but halfway through the book, the pages separate easily, revealing shaky handwriting in pencil. Childish handwriting, letters uneven, lines crooked. You raise the lamp, leaning close. Day 6, Papa says the storm won't stop. He says the wolf watches us because he knows the mountain. Papa says wolves remember things people forget. Your breath falters. The next page trembles in your fingers. Day 11, Papa is sick, but he smiles anyway. He said Mama will come for us when the snow clears. The wolf sits next to me at night. He's warm. I think he knows my name. You swallow, but your throat is too tight for the motion to work. You turn another page. Day 14, Papa is sleeping a lot. The wolf won't let me go outside alone. He brought me my glove when I dropped it. He looks like the wolf in Mama's story. Your fingers lock around the paper. A cold sweat breaks under your coat. One more page. Day 18, Papa told me a secret. He said if the map ever finds Mama, she must follow the wolf. He said I have to be brave if I wake up alone. A black dot interrupts the writing, ink smeared into a tear-shaped blur. Then the final entry, Day 19, Papa is gone. The wolf stayed with me. He didn't let me cry. He told me without words to leave the station. He said he would find Mama for me. He said someone in the future would finish our story. Your vision blurs, not from cold, not from exhaustion. This is too much, too close, too personal. Your fingers go numb, and you drop the notebook onto the bunk. The sound is soft, almost apologetic. You stumble back until your shoulders hit the icy wall. The chill sears through your coat. The wolf watches you, head low, ears angled forward, not threatening, not frightened, waiting, patient. As though this moment was always meant to happen. You draw a shaking breath. I don't understand, you whisper. How was I part of this? Why is my mother's signature on the photos? Why do I remember? Your voice breaks. The wolf steps closer. Its eyes, those impossible storm gray eyes, hold your gaze without wavering. Something in them shifts, softens, deepens. You feel the weight of recognition again, not déjà vu, something older, something that reaches into your ribs and settles there like a second heartbeat. Your pulse falters. Who are you? You ask, barely a breath. The wolf does not blink. It steps closer until its muzzle is less than a foot from your hand. Slowly, so slowly, you extend your glove toward it. Your palm hovers in the cold air. The wolf lifts its head and presses its brow gently against your fingers. Warm, real, alive. A tremor floods your arm, then your chest. Not fear, not shock. Something else. Something fierce and fragile. Something fierce and fragile. Something you haven't felt since childhood. Or a memory you only thought was yours. Your breath shakes out in a whisper. Did you know me? The wolf's eyes soften. Back then. It exhales, warm against your wrist. Your vision swims. Because in the stillness of that moment, in the quiet press of its brow against your trembling hand, you feel an answer settle inside you, not spoken. Whatever story the child wanted finished, whatever connection ties your mother to this frozen place, you wipe your face with a shaking hand, gather your breath, and step forward. Your glove closes around the icy handle. The wolf braces beside you. Together you pull, and the darkness beyond feels alive. The metal door groans as you pull, its hinges fighting with the determination of something that hasn't moved since before you were born. Frost fractures in delicate veins across its surface. A gust of air slips through the widening crack dents, unmoving, colder than anything outside. The wolf steps back as the door swings open, but its eyes never leave the dark. Your headlamp beam cuts into the blackness like a blade. A descending staircase waits beyond, narrow, steep, carved directly into ice. The walls glimmer faintly with embedded crystals, but the space below them is a well of deep silence, untouched for decades. You hesitate at the threshold, heart pounding against your ribs. Why would they build this? You whisper, voice shaking. The wolf turns its head, watching you with an expression you're beginning to understand. Expectation, patience, sorrow, and something else you're not ready to name. You grip the banister, ice slick, bitterly cold, and begin the descent. Your boots clank softly on the metal grates. Each step echoes into the void below, the sound swallowed almost instantly. The stairway narrows, then bends right, guiding you deeper into the glacier's lungs. The temperature drops with every meter. Your breath thickens, forming clouds that hang too long in the still air. Something is different down here, not just colder, older, the kind of air that feels like it's been waiting, holding its breath. You reach the bottom. Your lamp spreads across a wide, low-ceilinged chamber. The floor is smooth ice, polished by time. Shelves line the walls, metal racks embedded in frost, filled with boxes, papers, equipment sealed in ancient plastic. A subterranean research vault, untouched, unrecorded, forgotten. Your pulse quickens. You step forward, sweeping the beam across the nearest shelf. Most of the labels are illegible, ink warped by cold and moisture, but one box catches your eye. Sassinson logs, personal, your breath stutters. Another box sits beside it. Another box sits beside it. Sample archive below that, half buried in frost. Metographic records. Family unit. The words hit like a blow. Family unit, your voice cracks. Then the child, L. Sorensen, wasn't just here. They lived here. Your hand drifts toward the box, but you stop before touching it. Something in your chest tightens, warning you that whatever you find inside will not be gentle. The wolf steps beside you and bumps its forehead lightly against your hip, not urging, not pushing, steadying. You breathe. Then open the box. The cardboard cracks as you pry it apart. A thin cascade of ice flakes showers your gloves. Inside, a stack of journals lies wrapped in a stiff, frost-bitten cloth. You lift the first. Sorensen's handwriting flows across the pages, strong at first, then weakening. You flip to the last written entry. Your lamp trembles as you read November 18, 1965. The storm has trapped us for days, supplies low, My daughter is strong, braver than I ever was, but her cough worsens. I fear she carries the same sickness the cold has hidden in me. You freeze. Daughter, not son, a girl, 5 years old. Your hands shake, you read on. I cannot protect her from the glacier forever, but the wolf does. He has watched her since we arrived. He stayed when others left. He knows paths no map shows. If something happens to me, the map must reach her mother. Your chest tightens painfully. My wife will follow it. She will come. The wolf will guide her. He always does. You stop breathing. If the map finds another, if it survives long enough to reach the future, then it must lead the right bloodline back here. Someone with the memory that slept in her and will sleep in them. Your pulse stutters hard. This story does not end with me. It ends with the one who returns. You flip to the final line, written with a shaky, fading hand. If you are reading this, you already know who you are. The notebook slips from your hands and hits the ice with a soft thud. You stagger backward until your spine collides with the shelf. No, the word escapes as a rasp. No, that's no. Memory flickers behind your eyelids, disjointed, unsettling. A man kneeling beside you at a table. The smell of diesel. A wolf lying near a stove. A voice saying, "You'll understand each other one day." You press a glove to your forehead, the cold searing your skin. The wolf steps closer, pressing its shoulder to your leg, even through layers of clothing. Even in this cold, you feel the warmth. Warmth you remember. Warmth from a night in your childhood. A fever. A faint sensation of fur tucked close to your cheek. Your breath fractures. "No," you whisper again, but the word is evaporating. "I don't remember that. I don't. I've never." Have you? Have you really never? Your mother's handwriting on the photo, your own initials, L as well, the diary, the surname, the wolf's recognition, pieces slammed together brutally. You stumble away from the shelves, heart racing, breath crashing in and out. The chamber feels too small, too cold, too loud with silence. You grip the metal table in the center of the room, knuckles white beneath your gloves. The wolf stands a few feet behind you, watching, waiting. Your voice shakes as you force words into the air. Am I the child who lived here? The wolf's eyes do not waver. Something collapses inside you. You turn your headlamp back onto the shelves, hands shaking as if hunting for something, anything that might undo what you just read. You find another box. You rip it open. Inside, photographs, loose, curled by frost, black and white. You lift the top one, and your world stops. A man, Sorensen, kneeling in the snow. His arms wrapped around a small child bundled in an oversized coat. The child's face, blurred by movement but unmistakable in shape, in the tilt of the chin, in the angle of the nose, in the faint shadow beneath one eye. A face you've seen in mirrors your entire life. Your breath doesn't come, your heartbeat stumbles. The next photo shows the child laughing, hand buried in thick pale fur. The wolf, younger but the same, stands beside them, guiding, always guiding. Your vision blurs, your knees hit the ice, your chest caves inward. A sound tears from your throat, quiet, broken, the sound of the ground shifting under your feet. The wolf moves to you instantly, pressing its warm forehead to your shoulder. You lean into it without thinking, forehead sinking into its thick fur. A sound shakes out of you, raw, fractured, painfully human. Because the truth is no longer avoidable. You weren't just connected to Sorensen's expedition. You weren't just following a stranger's map. You were returning home. And every step you've taken, every photograph you've ever chased, every wolf you've ever followed, was a memory trying to find its way back to you. For a long, shuddering moment, you stay collapsed on the ice, your breath shaking, your mind reeling, your gloved fingers twisted in the wolf's fur, as if it were the only solid thing left in the world. Maybe it is. Its warmth anchors you, its stillness steadies you, its presence feels like a memory your body remembers even if your mind refuses to. Your pulse finally loosens its painful grip on your ribs. You lift your head slowly, cold air burning your lungs as you steady yourself. The wolf watches you, not with pity, not with fear, but with the somber, patient understanding of something that has seen generations rise and fall. You wipe a shaking hand across your face, the glove scraping frozen tears from your cheek. Why didn't she tell me? Your voice is barely a breath. Your mother, Sorensen's wife, the woman who left her signature on the photograph that led you here. Why did she hide all this? Why bury an entire life? Your life, under silence and new names and unspoken truth. Your throat tightens again. You stand on unsteady legs, Sorensen's photograph shaking in your hand. The child's blurred face haunts you, the angles too familiar, the smile too similar to the one you used to see in your mother's old pictures of you. You force yourself to breathe, to steady your grip on the truth slowly drowning you. If you lived here, if she was the mother Sorensen wrote about, then where did she go, and why did she never bring you back? You lift the next photograph. Your heart stalls. It shows the interior of this very station, clean, warm, lived in. A small table covered in crayons, a child's drawing pinned to the wall, a mug with steam rising from it, and in the corner, a tall woman smiling, half turned toward the wolf as if listening. Your breath falters. Your mother. You know that smile. You know that posture. You know the tilt of her chin like a signature written into your bones. She was here. Your fingers grip the photograph so tightly it bends. The next images come fast, each a strike to your chest. Your mother holding your small hand, your mother brushing snow from your coat, your mother laughing as the wolf nudges a wooden toy across the floor towards you. Your throat tightens until your breath rasps. The wolf steps closer again, nudging your elbow gently. Its warmth spreads through your arm like a lifeline. You turn to face it. I knew you, you whisper. When I was a child, you stayed with me. The wolf's eyes soften. The realization hits harder than the cold. You did not meet this wolf 3 years ago. You recognized it without understanding why, because your body remembered what your mind forgot. You let out a long, wounded breath. Then your lamp catches something else on the far shelf, a metal case, smaller than the others, sealed shut with a frozen latch. A thin layer of frost makes it shimmer like it's glowing. You move toward it, boots crunching on the ice. Your hands tremble as you pry the latch open. The case creaks, ice fractures. Air wheezes out. Inside lies a reel-to-reel audio recorder, preserved, untouched. Next to it, a stack of tapes, each labeled in a neat hand. For L, for her mother, for the one who returns. Your breath falters. The wolf lets out a soft, low sound encouragement. You lift the first tape, marked simply L. Day 19A, date you know all too well now. The last entry in the child's diary, the day Sorensen died. Your fingers tighten. There should be no power in this station. No functioning equipment, nothing that can play 50-year-old tapes. But the wolf turns suddenly and pads toward the far corner of the vault, where the wall meets a large square panel dusted in frost. You follow, confusion rising. The wolf sits before it, tail curling around its paws. You brush the frost away. A small generator sits behind the panel, manual crank, old as the station, but not impossible. Your pulse jumps. You lift the crank, grip tight, and begin to turn. The generator groans but moves, sparingly, slowly, as if waking from a 50-year sleep. A faint vibration hums beneath your boots. Lights, dim, flickering, sickly yellow flicker to life along the ceiling like ghostly fireflies. You exhale, stunned. The wolf moves beside you, brushing its flank against your leg. You return to the tape deck. Your hands are trembling as you insert the first tape. The machine clicks, whirs, spits static. Then, a voice emerges, thin, distant, fragile as a ghost. A child's voice, your voice, small, unsteady, brave. Papa said I have to be brave. The wolf is here. He won't leave me. Mama, if you hear this, I know you'll come. Your lungs collapse. The long-hidden truth hits with a force that makes your knees buckle. You lived this. You recorded this. This voice was yours. The static shifts. Another voice spills through. Older, broken, barely more than a whisper. Sorensen. My love. If you find this, forgive me for leaving before telling you where to go. Follow the wolf. He remembers everything, more than we ever could. Your breath breaks. He continues, voice quivering. I never meant our daughter to grow up without the truth, but the cold is taking me faster than I expected. The wolf will keep her warm. He will lead her out. And when the glacier returns these memories, someone of her bloodline will follow them home. Your chest caves. A single tear escapes, burning down your cheek. Whoever hears this, Sorensen whispers, you are family. You are the ending of the story we could not finish. The tape sputters, crackles, stops. Stop. You sit paralyzed, frozen deeper than the ice surrounding you. The wolf presses its muzzle into your shoulder. You tilt your head toward it, eyes blurring. I didn't come here for a story, you whisper. I came home without knowing it. Your voice trembles. My mother knew. She must have known. Why didn't she tell me? Why leave? The wolf turns and looks toward the darkest corner of the vault. There, barely visible under layers of ice, is a door, smaller than the hatch above, almost hidden, almost secret. The wolf walks toward it, and your heart drops as a realization forms, slow, heavy, devastating. If the tapes were messages left for your mother, that door may hold one from her, a final truth, a final piece she hid until you were ready, or until the glacier commanded it. Your breath quakes, you stand, you move toward the door. Your hand rises, shaking. The wolf waits beside it, silent, steady, knowing. You press your palm to the frozen handle. It shifts under your touch and opens. The smaller door opens with a brittle groan, not loud, not sharp, just the tired exhale of metal surrendering after decades of silence. Cold air spills out in a slow, deliberate wave, not the raw bite of the glacier, not the stale, metallic chill of the vault. This cold feels inhabited, quiet with intention, heavy with memory. The wolf slips inside first. Its pale shape disappears into the dark, paws whispering against the frost-dusted floor. You follow, one hand braced against the frame, the other clamped around Sorensen's camera, as if it were the only piece of balance left in your shaking world. Your headlamp cuts through a small room carved deep into the glacier, walls smooth and rounded, corners softened by time, a single table at the center, legs frozen mid-chill, and shelves lining the far wall, each holding something wrapped in cloth. Your breath thickens into a fog. The wolf sits near the table, posture still, gaze steady, waiting. You step inside. The door drifts partway shut behind you, dimming the distant hum of the generator until all you hear is your own uneasy breathing. You sweep your lamp across the shelves, 3 cloth-wrapped bundles, carefully placed. Not scattered like relics lost, not abandoned like debris, positioned, preserved, protected. Your pulse stutters. Because you recognize the shapes, old journals, small containers, frozen envelopes, the kinds of things someone saves for only one person. Your gloved fingers hover above the first bundle, afraid to touch it, afraid to confirm the truth already tightening inside your ribs. Then the wolf nudges your knee, sterner this time, almost insistent. You swallow hard and pull the cloth away. Inside lies a small wooden box, edges worn soft, corners chipped. A name is etched gently into the lid. For L, your heartbeat punches upward. Your initial, your childhood self. The child Sorensen wrote about. The child in the photos. The child who lived here before your memories were reshaped by a life you never understood. Your hand trembles as you lift the lid. Something inside rattles softly. You inhale, brace your fingers, and open it fully. Inside, a small wool hat faded blue. A wooden wolf carving, hand-carved, the grain worn smooth from tiny fingers. A scrap of paper with a drawing in crayon, a child's drawing, a wolf standing beside a tall figure and a shorter one. A family, your breath fractures, your vision blurs. You touch the carving with one shaking glove. Your thumb fits perfectly into a groove along its side, a groove that wouldn't exist unless someone, a child, held it the same way again and again and again. A quiet sound slips from you, soft, painful, disbelieving. The wolf rests its head on the edge of the table, watching your reaction, not curious, not confused, knowing. You place a hand on its fur without looking, needing the warmth, needing the anchor. The second bundle waits. You wipe your face with your sleeve and reach for it. The cloth parts easily. Inside is a stack of letters, each sealed in wax, each addressed in the same looping, unmistakable handwriting. To my daughter, to my little L, for when the glacier returns what I could not. Your knees weaken. You sit before the shelf because standing feels impossible. Your gloved thumb drags gently across the top letter. The date is faded, ink bleeding slightly into paper, December 2, 1965. You tear the wax seal. The paper cracks faintly as you unfold it. Your mother's handwriting flows across the page, warm, familiar, alive in a way that pierces deeper than cold ever could. My beautiful girl, if you are reading this, the glacier has given you back to the truth. Your breath catches with a sharp, painful jolt. You were so small when we fled the station. The storm was rising, and the mountain swallowed the exit path. Sorensen was already gone. You don't remember how sick you were. You don't remember the fever. But I do. Your grip tightens. The wolf carried you. He would not let me lose you. He led us down a safer path than I ever could have found alone. Your eyes burn. When we reached the rescue teams, you were delirious. You didn't remember the station, or your father, or the wolf. And I could not bear to put that weight back onto you. The words start to shake. You were so afraid. You cried whenever I spoke Sorensen's name. A tear slips down your cheek, freezing instantly. So I made a choice. I buried the past for you. I kept the map hidden. And I prayed the glacier would never force you to return. You exhale, a trembling breath that seems to rattle your entire chest. But the next lines still wait. But if you're reading this, then the glacier chose differently, forestist. And if it has summoned you, then you are ready in ways you never were before. Your voice breaks in the stillness. The final lines land with the force of an avalanche. Do not fear the wolf. He is memory where you have forgotten. He is the guardian of your father's last promise, and he will not leave you again. You press the letter to your chest and close your eyes. Your breath comes in deep, shaking waves. Everything you feared, everything you wondered, everything you didn't want to believe is now a truth carved into your hands. You lived here. Your father died here. Your mother fled with you. You forgot. And the wolf, this wolf, has been circling through your life ever since. Searching, waiting, guiding. You open your eyes to find the wolf closer now, sitting directly before you. Your hand lifts instinctively, trembling but sure. You rested gently on its cheek. "I remember you," you whisper, and for the first time you do, not fully. Not completely, but fragments slide into place like doors unlocking in your mind, warm fur against your feverish cheek, a deep, protective growl at the sound of collapsing snow, a rhythm of footsteps pacing beside your small ones, a soft chuff each night as you drifted into sleep. The wolf presses its head lightly into your palm. Your pulse stumbles. Then you see the final bundle, wrapped in the oldest cloth, edges stiff, corners frosted white. You lift it with both hands. It feels heavier, more deliberate, consequential. Inside is a single object, a metal cylinder, long, sealed with a cap, frost welded to its edges. You pry it open carefully. A roll of map paper slides out, thick, water-resistant, hand-sketched, beautiful. You unfurl it slowly. Your breath stops, because this map is not a rescue map, not an evacuation route, not the one you followed. This one is different. It shows areas deeper in the glacier, places no expedition has charted, no researcher has recorded, no satellite has captured. And at its center is a mark, a perfect circle drawn in red ink. Beneath it, in your mother's handwriting, where your father fell, where the wolf kept vigil, where your story began, your pulse slams in your chest. You look at the wolf. It rises, turns to the door, looks back at you with quiet certainty. This is where the discovery leads. This is where the truth lives. This is what the glacier has always wanted you to see. You gather the map, the carving, the letters, the camera. Your hands are trembling, your breath jagged, your heart raw, but your feet move anyway. The wolf stands beside you like a shadow given form. You step back into the vault. The storm above the glacier roars in distant echoes. You adjust the straps of your pack, tighten your gloves, and look toward the passage leading upward, back to the surface, back to the cold, back to the place where the map points. "Take me to him," you whisper. The wolf turns and leads you into the heart of the glacier. The climb back toward the surface feels nothing like the descent. When you first followed the wolf down into the glacier, your steps were driven by confusion, fear, curiosity. Now they are driven by something heavier, something steadier, something that feels like the slow, trembling unfurling of truth finally allowed to breathe. Your pack weighs more than it should, not from the objects inside, the letters, the map, the wooden wolf, but from the meaning they carry. Each step up the narrow stairwell feels like lifting the weight of an entire lost life. The wolf pads ahead, pausing every few meters to look back at you. Its eyes glitter in your headlamp beam, two steady stars in a cold and ancient sky. You tighten your gloves, you inhale a breath that burns, and you follow. You emerge through the upper hatch into the cavern. The generator hum fades to a faint murmur behind you as the station is swallowed once more by cold silence. Up here, the air moves. Barely, but enough to remind you the world above still exists. The storm's roar is distant now, muffled by the glacier walls like thunder echoing from another world. Snowflakes drift through the cavern entrance, soft, slow, like feathers falling from a torn sky. The wolf stands at the mouth of the cavern looking outward into the narrow valley. The map in your pack presses against your spine like the memory of a hand guiding you forward. You step into the open air. The storm has passed. What remains is a sky bruised purple and gray, still seething at the edges with the last threads of wind. The glacier surface glows faintly under the dimming light, an immense frozen plain stretching into distances that have swallowed entire lifetimes. Your breath rises in ghosts. The wolf begins to walk. You follow, boots sinking into freshly fallen snow. The cold air carries a quiet that feels deeper now, less like emptiness, more like reverence. You glance down at the map in your hand. The red circle at its center burns like a pulse, a heartbeat drawn in ink, the place where your father fell, where the wolf kept vigil, where your story began. You swallow the tightness in your chest and keep moving. The journey across the glacier is longer than you expected. Hours pass. Light shifts from bruised dusk to deepening gray. Shadows stretch thin over the ice. The wolf leads you across ridges, around melt channels, through narrow corridors carved by ancient winds. It never hesitates, never falters. Its paws land with a grace born from lifetimes on this ice. You stumble more than once. Your legs ache from cold and exhaustion. Your left shoulder throbs from the fall earlier. Your breath grows ragged as the temperature drops. But every time your pace falters, the wolf slows, just enough for you to catch up, just enough to remind you you're not doing this alone. Eventually, you reach a rise, a long, sloping shoulder of ice that curves like the spine of a massive buried creature. The wolf pauses at the crest. You climb the final steps, boots heavy, pack pressing against your ribs, and then you see it, a hollow in the glacier, not wide, not deep, just a small open space carved by time and collapse, a quiet bowl in the ice, sheltered from the wind. Snow lies untouched at its center. The wolf stands at the edge waiting for you. You descend slowly, heart trembling with each breath. Snow crunches underfoot. Cold silence wraps around you. The world outside fades, leaving just this place, this stillness, this moment that waited half a century to find you. Your lamp beam sweeps across the hollow, and you see the first sign. A length of rope frozen stiff, trailing from a fractured ridge of ice. A snapped harness buckle half buried in snow, a rusted ice axe wedged deep in a crack. Your breath catches. The wolf steps forward. It lowers its head, not sniffing, not tracking, but bowing. The gesture hits you like a strike. You kneel instinctively beside the axe, gloved fingers brushing the frost around it. Something glitters beneath the snow, a small object, a pendant. You lift it gently, a metal locket, oval, scuffed, worn. You scrape frost from its surface with your thumb. Inside, under a pane of cracked glass, is a photograph. A woman, your mother, younger. Smiling in a way you haven't seen since childhood. Beside her, Sorensen. The two of them leaning into each other, foreheads nearly touching, the wolf at their feet. Your breath collapses. A sound breaks from your chest. Not a sob, not a cry. Something softer, quieter, aching. The wolf presses its shoulder against your side, warmth grounding you. You swallow hard and reach deeper into the snow. Your glove brushes something else. Fabric, faded, frayed, frozen into the shape of a coat sleeve. You pull gently until the snow loosens its hold. The sleeve rises, then the collar of a heavy expedition jacket, then a scarf stiff with frost, then bones, long buried, long at peace. Your entire body falls still. Your father. You don't need the locket or the diary or the map. You don't need confirmation. The truth is immediate, ancient, irrefutable. The glacier didn't hide him. It held him, protected him, preserved him until the day you were ready. The wolf sits beside the remains, lowering its head once more. A guardian's gesture, a final vigil. You close your eyes and inhale deeply, letting the cold air burn a path through your chest. Then you speak, quiet, steady, trembling, "I'm here." Your voice shakes. "I came back. I didn't know, but I came." The glacier holds your words with reverence. You take the locket in both hands, pressing it to your chest. Your breath stutters as warmth and grief collide sharply behind your ribs. "I'm sorry it took so long." Your throat tightens painfully. "But I'm here now, and I remember you." For the first time, the wolf lets out a soft, low sound. Not a growl, not a whine, but something old and mournful. A sound that feels like wind moving through ancient fir trees. A sound of recognition, of farewell, of completion. Your vision blurs. You rest your forehead gently against the snow-covered coat. You whisper words into the cold, words you never knew you were waiting your whole life to say. "Goodbye, Papa." The wolf nudges your shoulder once, firm, gentle, grounding, as if reminding you the story doesn't end in grief. Not here, not in this hollow. It ends with understanding. And what comes next is closure. And what comes next? You rise slowly, holding the locket close. The wolf steps back, turns toward the ridge, and waits. It's time to leave this place. But not emptier, never emptier, only finally whole. The world feels different when you turn away from the hollow. Not lighter, not heavier, just aligned. As if some long-buried piece inside you has finally clicked into place, unlocking a truth your heart always carried even when your mind refused it. The wolf leads you back up the rise. You follow without hesitation. Each step feels steadier than the last. Your body exhausted, your breath raw and fogging the air, but something inside you newly anchored. Your father's locket rests warm against your chest, tucked beneath your layers, a small weight that feels strangely alive. The sky above the glacier is clearing. Clouds unravel into ribbons of pale violet. Wind softens until it brushes your face like a sigh. The world shifts from storm gray to the first hesitant blue of a returning sun. You and the wolf walk side by side, not guide and follower, not guardian and child, but companions completing a final chapter together. You don't speak for a long time. Words would feel too small. Instead, you listen to the soft crunch of your boots, to the wolf's quiet breath, to the glacier's distant groans echoing through its bones like deep, ancient memory. After a while, the wolf slows. It stops on a ridge overlooking a long white plain stretching toward the horizon. The gentle slope leads back toward the valley you crossed, the faint mark of your footsteps still visible in the fresh snow. The wolf turns to face you. Its eyes hold yours, steady, gray, ancient in a way that makes your heart tremble. You kneel beside it, your gloved hand rises almost on its own, fingers finding the warm fur beneath its jaw. You feel the vibration of a quiet breath, the rise and fall of its chest. "I'm still here," you whisper, not to reassure the wolf but to steady yourself, because this moment, this final moment, feels like the edge of something you're not ready to lose. The wolf leans into your touch, its eyes half close. You lower your forehead to its head, just as you did when you were a child, a memory now fully recovered, as clear as the photographs, as warm as the carving you still carry in your pack. "Thank you," you breathe, "for bringing me home." The wolf exhales softly, warm against your cheek, a quiet acceptance, a goodbye. But not one born of separation, one born of completion. When you lift your head, the wolf steps back, not far, just enough to look at you fully. Then it lifts its muzzle. A long, low howl unfurls into the newly clearing sky, soft at first, then rising, expanding, a voice that seems to echo through every ridge and hollow of the glacier. It is not a mournful sound. It is not lonely. It is an announcement, a release, a reverent closing of a story held too long in silence. When the last thread of the howl fades, the wolf lowers its head. You swallow against the tightening in your chest. "You're leaving," you whisper. The wolf doesn't answer in any human way. It simply turns toward the far horizon. The sky is brightening slowly, a pale gold brushing the blue. The wolf's silhouette glows at the edges, fur catching the weak sunlight until it looks almost luminous. It takes one step forward, then another. You watch, breath caught, heart pulsing in unsteady waves. It pauses only once more, half turning, ears angled back toward you, a silent message passing between you. "You are safe now. You carry the truth. My vigil is complete." And then it goes. Its form moves across the snow with the same impossible grace it showed the first moment you saw it. A pale streak against the horizon, a memory returning to the wilderness that shaped it, a guardian dissolving into the land it belonged to. You watch until its shape becomes only a suggestion, a trick of light, a shimmer of movement, a whisper of fur against wind, and then nothing, just the glacier, just the sky, just you, but not alone, not anymore. You sit for a long time on the ridge, your legs numb, your breath quiet, your thoughts shifting like snow driven by the faintest breeze. When you finally rise, the sun has climbed higher, painting the ice in soft gold. You turn back toward the valley, toward the world waiting beyond this journey, beyond this frozen truth you've reclaimed. Your pack feels lighter, your heart heavier, but in a way that feels right, earned, human. The locket rests against your chest, warm through your layers. The wooden carving presses gently against your ribs. The map, your mother's last gift, rests safe in your pack. You begin the long walk back. Every step forward feels like an echo of two lives, the one you lived and the one you now remember. And as you cross the glacier, leaving the hollow behind, you feel something shift within you, a peace, a belonging, a quiet certainty that grief and love can coexist in the same breath, one carving space for the other. You do not look back again. Some endings are meant to be carried forward, not revisited. When the research outpost finally comes into view in the far distance, a cluster of shapes against endless white, the wind shifts. A single distant howl drifts across the glacier. Soft, fading, final. You close your eyes and let it pass through you. A farewell, a promise. A memory settling into place. You open your eyes, exhale, and walk toward the future. At last unburdened, at last whole, at last knowing exactly who you are.